Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the what's next on Tyson Fury, the former unified two-time heavyweight champion of the world, following his first pro loss by a close split decision against Oleksandr Usyk, as he attempted to unify all four belts and become undisputed champion back on May 18th. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, this one for Fury was a tough loss. You know, it really was. He went in there and worked his ass off early on. First half of the fight, I thought he was winning. You know, but Usyk was in the fight. And then it seemed like after Fury had hurt Usyk, that Usyk kind of hit another gear in the 8th round in that area, and then landed that big punch and a collective of punches in the 9th that hurt Fury badly and almost stopped him. And some argue, you know, maybe the fight should have been stopped. And then, you know, it ended up going to distance. Fury tried to close strong. Ended up being a razor-thin split decision loss for Fury. But we already know the rematch is coming between these two, right? We know that. That's coming on December 21st now. It was announced yesterday, December 21st. We will see Usyk and Fury 2. We knew that a rematch clause was in the contract. So why am I doing this video? Well, I'm doing this video because I want to start looking past the Fury-Usyk fight into 2025 and see if Fury is victorious, what he might be doing heading into next year, you know? Some of the options. That way you guys aren't sitting there blank. I think it's a good discussion to have. I enjoyed doing the Usyk one yesterday if he's victorious in the rematch. So let's take a look at what's coming up potentially for Tyson Fury after a potential victory over Oleksandr Usyk. And we could kind of factor in if he were to lose as well. But obviously, let's start with Usyk. If Fury beats Usyk, you know, and if it's close again, or if it's competitive before a potential stoppage, would these two guys want to do a third fight? And to be honest, it really depends on how the second fight ends. I think they might be into a third fight. But if Fury's staring a showdown with Anthony Joshua in the face and he decisively beats Usyk in the rematch, I think he's going to look at that as like, what's the point, you know? But if there's not a viable option, let's say a fourth fight with Wilder's off the table. Let's say a showdown with Joshua's off the table because Joshua loses before then. Then I think a third fight with Usyk makes a lot of sense. Now, if he loses the Usyk in their rematch, I don't think we're going to see a third fight between the two. If anybody could get it, it would be Fury. But barring some controversy in the second fight to where a lot of people think it's bullshit, I don't think Fury and Usyk fight a third time if Usyk were to beat Fury. So then we look at Anthony Joshua. Obviously, that's the fight that everybody wants to see, is Joshua and Fury. Fury, in my opinion, win or lose, could get the Joshua fight. It just depends on where Joshua is and how much interest there's going to be if Usyk were to beat Fury again. How much interest a third fight would be for Usyk and Joshua 3. Especially when, you know, seemingly it maybe be a bigger money fight if Joshua fought Fury, but Joshua's going to want to take a crack at the titles most likely. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. I think if Fury beats Usyk in their rematch convincingly, then I think a showdown with Anthony Joshua is going to happen in the first half of the year. But when will it happen is the big issue, you know? I mean, or what will it be for? What will be at stake in that fight? A lot of moving pieces, you know? Joshua, if he's victorious, and is still, you know, victorious throughout the rest of this year, and is still a top tier guy, you know, on the way back, I think absolutely it's Fury and Joshua. But if he's not, will Fury still have that same kind of love for a showdown with Joshua? He just might. It depends on how Joshua does and who he beats as well before the end of the year. Then you got Filip Hrgović. Hrgović is going to have to, if he wants a Fury fight, he's going to have to be, at the very least, the IBF champion rolling into the first half of next year. I don't think Fury's really going to have much interest outside of like Joshua, Wilder 4, or even a potential third fight with Usyk. I don't think he's going to entertain a showdown with Hrgović unless Hrgović is bringing a belt to the table. So I think Fury would happily give up his IBF belt and let Hrgović go fight for it if he's if Hrgović, you know, if that title doesn't get stripped, if the IBF allows Undisputed to happen in the rematch between Fury and Usyk, and Fury becomes the champion, I think he'll give up his belt instead of defending against Hrgović, who's going to be most likely still the #1 contender, but maybe not. So Hrgović also, if he beats AJ Anthony Joshua, if he fights him. So I think Hrgović only has a couple chances of either being the champion, or he's got to be the IBF champion, or he's got to at the very least beat AJ Anthony Joshua in order to try to have a chance at Tyson Fury, and that might not even be enough. If Fury loses, there's no way he fights Hrgović next. If Fury loses to Usyk. Then there's Zhilei Zhang. Fury wanted this fight last year, but Zhang's going to have to win. Zhang's going to have to go beat Wilder. Then I think Fury might want to fight him. You know, and if Zhang wins out through the end of the year, like say Zhang beats Joseph Parker in a rematch, I think Fury would probably fight Zhang if the AJ fight isn't on the table. I think Zhang would definitely be one of the options that he'd look at. He's got to win out though. Then you got Joe Joyce. I don't see it. Joe Joyce has a long road to a chance at something, and I just don't see him being in a position to be worth it for Fury to fight him. Joseph Parker, absolutely. I think if he wins out throughout the end of the year, I got a feeling that Parker is gonna get he could get the winner of Wilder Zhang, or, you know, somebody else bigger. If Parker pulls off another big win and Fury is the champ at the beginning of the year, or if he loses another close fight to Usyk, I think a Parker fight could be an option for him. Not going to be his first option, but I definitely think it could be an option, especially if there's hardware on the table. I think it's more likely if Fury is the champ, then I think he'd fight Parker, because Parker, you know, is his WBO interim champ, so it'd be a mandatory fight anyways. But also, these guys are friends, and I think the only way these guys fight each other is if there's titles on the line. So that's just my opinion. Then you got a fourth fight with Deontay Wilder. I mean, if Wilder does something big like beats AJ Anthony Joshua later this year, he's got to beat Zhang and then beat AJ. If he does some shit like that, then yeah, I mean, if Fury wins, I could see Fury and Wilder 4 for sure. But Wilder has to get those 2 victories. He has to get those 2 wins over Zhang, and then maybe even over Joshua later this year if there's a chance at that fight. So we'll see. Daniel Dubois, I mean, he's gonna have to upset Hrgović and like beat an AJ Anthony Joshua to have a chance at Fury. I could see him beating one of the 2, but not both of those guys. That's too tall of an order in my opinion. So I don't think Dubois is an option. Ajit Caballel, I just don't think Caballel's going to have to score a major victory in the second half of the year, which means he would have to get a big opportunity at one of the top dogs, and I just don't see that happening. So I don't think he's an option. Martin McCauley's a no. Frank Sanchez is a no. Jared Anderson, maybe. If Jared Anderson were to beat Deontay Wilder in that proposed fight in in August if he gets the crack at that. Maybe, but to be honest, the way things are circling, if Wilder beats Zhang and the IBF doesn't grant Hrgović and Joshua for September, I think we might see Wilder and Joshua in the second half of this year. Just my opinion. Efe Ajagba is a no. Lenny Arpero is a no. And then there's also the Andy Ruiz fight. And Ruiz has to beat Big Baby Miller in August. And that still might not be enough to warrant a showdown with Fury in the first half of next year. Ruiz might need a couple wins to be an option. So for me, if Fury beats Usyk in the rematch, then I think it really comes down to 3 options, but they got to be available. I think AJ Anthony Joshua is the most likely. As long as AJ wins out through the end of the year, and especially if AJ somehow is the IBF champion by beating Hrgović. If that happens, then it's AJ. If AJ beats Deontay Wilder, because the IBF title isn't on the line, if he beats Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury beats Usyk in a rematch, it's going to be Fury and Joshua for everything, in my opinion still. It's still going to be Fury Joshua. I also think Deontay Wilder, if he wins out, has a chance. But I believe it's got to go like this. I think Wilder has to beat Zhang, and then the IBF allow their title to be still with Usyk through the undisputed rematch. If that happens, then I think there's a good chance we see Wilder Joshua second half of the year, and then Wilder would have to beat Joshua. Then I think a 4th fight with Fury could happen, and probably would happen in the first half of next year. And then finally, I think a 3rd fight with Oleksandr Usyk would be on the table. I think, especially if the second fight ends close as the first fight did, I think there's a very good chance that these 2 guys rematch or fight for a 3rd time, just to leave no doubt, because there'd be a lot of money on the table for that. I think a high demand for it. So those are the 3 main options. I mean, we can throw around other fighters like Zhang, but he's got to win out, in my opinion. Parker, outside chances, Joseph Parker, and Filip Hrgović probably as well. But we'll see. We'll see what goes down. So that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury, following his loss to Oleksandr Usyk on the Ring of Fire card on May 18th. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.